everybody, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Amanda N, and today I'm talking about staircases in the forest. What the hell do I mean by that? Well, just as it sounds. There are abandoned staircases all over national forests, and no one seems to know why, supposedly. A friend told me about this, and I was pretty confused, thinking maybe she just meant ladders and they were left behind from construction work or something. But that's not the case. I mean literal staircases. One article from Mamma Mia in December 2017 explains, in national parks around the world, so the story goes, there are abandoned staircases. Deep in the woods, where no man appears to have ever lived, you'll find them. Just a staircase, no other structure. Some of the staircases are brick, some in ruins, some perfectly sturdy, some cast iron spirals like the kind you'd find in a lighthouse, reaching up to nowhere. The story came from Reddit. It was in No Sleep, which, if you haven't heard of, it's a really interesting subreddit full of creepy tales that, as the name suggests, make it hard to sleep. Some of these are obviously made up, some of them claim to be real, while others sort of fall into that gray area where you wonder if they're true or not. But one subreddit rule is that the stories have to be plausible, as in they could happen in real life. And I think that's where this story of staircases in the woods falls. It's plausible, but is it real? The first person to talk about this was a user by the name of Search and Rescue Woods, a user that claimed to be a search and rescue officer for the US Forest Service. He doesn't start by just going on about these weird staircases. That might not be believable. But instead, he first talks about missing people and tells some realistic cases. His post reads, "I have a pretty good track record for finding missing people. Most of the time they just wander off the path or slip down a small cliff and they can't find their way back. The majority of them have heard the old stay where you are thing and they don't wander far. But I've had 2 cases where that didn't happen. Both bother me a lot, and I use them as motivation to search even harder on the missing persons cases I get called on. The first was a little boy who was out berry picking with his parents. He and his sister were together, and both of them went missing around the same time. Their parents lost sight of them for a few seconds, and in that time, both the kids apparently wandered off. When their parents couldn't find them, they called us, and we came out to search the area. We found the daughter pretty quickly, and when we asked her where her brother was, she told us that he'd been taken away by the bear man. She said he gave her berries and told her to stay quiet, that he wanted to play with her brother for a while. The last she saw of her brother, he was riding on the shoulders of the bear man and seemed calm. Of course, our first thought was abduction, but we never found a trace of another human being in that area. The little girl was also insistent that he wasn't a normal man, but that he was tall and covered in hair, like a bear, and that he had a weird face. We searched that area for weeks. It was one of the longest calls I've been on, but we never found a single trace of that kid. There's also reports of tall cliffs, a woman being separated from her hiking group. You get the picture. It's an odd post, but not incredibly far-fetched. And then there comes the part about the stairs. This is the last one I'll tell, and it's probably the weirdest story I have. Now, I don't know if this is true in every SAR unit, but in mine, it's sort of an unspoken, regular thing we run into. You can try asking about it with other SAR officers, but even if they know what you're talking about, they probably won't say anything about it. We've been told not to talk about it by our superiors, and at this point, we've all gotten so used to it that it just doesn't seem weird anymore. On just about every case where we're really far into the wilderness, I'm talking 30 or 40 miles, at some point, we'll find a staircase in the middle of the woods. It's almost like if you took the stairs in your house, cut them out, and put them in the forest. I asked about it the first time I saw some, and the other officer just told me not to worry about it, that it was normal. Everyone I asked said the same thing. I wanted to go check them out, but I was told, very emphatically, that I should never go near any of them. I just sort of ignore them now when I run into them because it happens so frequently. This post blew up to the point where now there's a subreddit with a master list all about stories of stairs in the woods. Now honestly, if this were the only evidence we had, stories on the internet, I'd probably dismiss this here, say it's a fun story and move on. But my friend, as well as the article, had photos. A staircase in the middle of the woods. Some say that if you climb them, nothing really happens. Others say it could be a portal or a dimension, and if you climb them, you'll be met with a landing at the top. One commenter in this article says staircases, especially exterior ones leading to a building, are very solid and would be the only thing left when a building collapses. Yet, there also doesn't seem to be any other sign of rubble or a building around them, just the stairs themselves. So, are these stories real, or just a creepypasta? If I go out into the woods, is there any chance of me encountering a staircase? Well, I wanted to know more, and to my surprise, honestly, there was no shortage of information about the topic. Historic Mysteries covered them pretty recently, and they had even more compelling photos. They explain, surely, some of these staircases in the middle of nowhere may have been part of a town or building that has long since crumbled to the ground. However, some of them seem new, almost like someone had put them there yesterday. The very first stories that surfaced on Reddit opened the floodgates for more and more people to come forward with their own accounts of random stairs in the woods and parks. What seems to have begun as a creepypasta phenomenon became a string of stories recounted from both rangers and the public, mostly from the eastern US. However, soon, stories poured in from other nations, including Portugal, Norway, and the Philippines. And as it turns out, mysterious staircases in the forest are not uncommon, and many of them have been around for centuries or millennia. One of these famous staircases in the Artrusian Pyramid of Bamarso, sorry for pronunciation there, located in Viterbo, Italy. There's a small platform at the top, and scholars believe the structure dates back to the 7th century BCE or before. This could have been a divination tower or altar, but either way, it's not quite as unsettling as a brand new staircase that we may be more accustomed to seeing in modern homes. There's another, in the Cambodian Siem Reap province, a 2,000-foot-long staircase that ascends the Phom Kulen mountain. This seems to have been a pathway to reach the ancient, now buried city of Mahendraparta. Again, sorry for pronunciation there. Thirdly, there's another in Chesterfield, New Hampshire, a set of stairs in the woods built by a Parisian music hall singer, Madame Cherie. She built her castle in the woods to serve as a summer retreat, and today only the stairs and part of the foundation remain, since the castle burned down in 1962. All of these make sense. It's the modern staircases that don't. Short, stone staircases could very well have led to a home years and years ago, and perhaps the homes they were once attached to have crumbled and been buried by the forest over time. It's the modern ones that seem fake and have taken things to a new level. As Medium explains, it should be noted that as compelling as these stories of staircases in the woods are, it should probably be taken with a grain of salt. After all, the stories were posted on Reddit's No Sleep forum, known as a place where people can post fictional stories, although there are a handful of submissions where posters relay their own odd experiences. It is, after all, telling that there are so few pictures of these staircases in the woods, and only first-hand accounts of people encountering them. Many people have insisted that these stories of creepy staircases leading to nowhere found in national forests are all the work of creepy fiction. In the end, I think they're fantastic stories, especially because they have some sort of basis in reality, with much older stone staircases really existing in the woods. The modern ones? No, I don't really believe those are real. Reddit No Sleep is a great place for creepy stories, but they're just stories. I'm pretty sure most people know this already, but I think it's really cool how viral this story went, how many people began to tag onto it, and how it simply grew all across the world. So, I hope you liked this little deep dive into staircases in the woods, and have you ever seen a staircase in the woods before? Let me know in the comments down below. Please hit that thumbs up button if you're new here, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys!